What's up, you guys? I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Telvas and welcome to my channel. Today I have a top 10 tips and tricks for you for the Symphony of War, the Nephilim Saga game. As you can see here, I do have roughly a little bit over 150 hours playtime on this game. I have finished this game both on the captain and on the warlord level with permadeath as well. I do have a playlist of my whole playthrough for the warlord with permadeath. I'm going to link that up on the upper right corner if you want to go check that out as well. And I do have all the achievements for the game. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so my most important tip I have for you guys is make a lot of money and items and make even more money. So what you can do here is that you can abuse some traits that you have in the game in order to make a lot of cash sometimes. So there's a trait for assassins, this is called thievery. So if we look at assassins over here, it has a trait called thievery, which is on combat initiated by the squad, steal a small amount of gold from the primary target based on skill. Okay, so every time you attack with a rogue or an assassin, you'll be able to get a little bit of gold back. Okay, so that's one of the things. Using a lot of rogues and assassin will allow you to get money very frequently. Also, you can additionally give them the scavenger talent, which gives additional gold per fallen enemy in combat. Okay, so what I do is that I give this scavenger trait to every unit in the squad. So if I look at here, if you look, okay, this one does not have it. But this one has a scavenger. This one does not, because I mean the scavenger trait, you don't find it all the time. So the number of times I have it on my units here is the number of times I were actually able to buy them. So you don't find it too often, but every time you find them, make sure to buy it because it will pay for itself back over time. So I was able to put that skill on my Stefan unit, as well as the thievery skill. Every time I attack with this unit, I get about 600 to 1000 gold back, depending on the number of units I was able to kill. So that's a lot of money for one single turn, for one single unit. So whenever I fight, I always make sure to make Stefan attack first. And also, for this unit, I also have this special items, the jaded figurine, that gives me a 33% chance to have a second turn on the same phase. So often what I can do is that I can kill a squad and then I get another turn that I go kill another squad, and then I made about almost 2000 gold in a single turn. So Stefan, I always make sure that he can attack on every single turn. He can kill a unit because these guys are so strong. They'll kill anybody first one turn, no problems. Okay, so especially they can ambush as well, which is great. High mobility because they're light infantry. So this is an amazing unit. Love them. I always attack. The first thing I do every turn, I look at which unit Stefan is going to kill. Okay. The other thing that you can use also is the leader trait called Treasure Hunter. And Treasure Hunter increases chances to find an item when destroying or forcing the surrender of enemy squads. Okay, so I use Treasure Hunter on Stefan, and I use it also on my main character unit over here. So because I know that those two guys are fighting every turn, and then they're always often surrendering or killing units as well. So I always often do that. If I had a spare one, I would put that on Diana as well, because Diana is just a monster. She can just kill everybody, right? So I would change this for Treasure Hunter in the early game. In the late game, I can give her this because she is often attack in defense. I use her a lot as a defensive unit, so therefore she can get a lot more attack power on defense. Okay, but try to maximize the number of items you can get per turn. That's amazing. So a lot more money with scavenger and the rogues. As you can see, I have rogues in a lot of my units as well. Okay, so having a lot of rogues and assassin is great to making money. Having a lot of scavenger trait on the units with which you kill the most is also very important. And having the treasure hunter skills on the leaders that kill the most units is also extremely important. All right, and always make sure to prioritize attacking with those units in order to maximize your income gain as well. And also to make sure you have the most amount of money. Whenever you're on a chapter, always make sure to finish the battle within the number of turns they suggest. And also make sure to loot all your chests, kill all the enemies and to maximize your item drop and income, and make sure to you know, do all the achievements. You have special achievements that you can do in a map, and that also increases the amount of gold that you can get per turn. And also make sure that whenever you go into a map and there's a bazaar, make sure you've used all your arena token before that time, so that you have as much money as possible in order to buy as many units, as many good units as you can within that time frame within the bazaar, because the bazaar often have dragons, special name units in orange, and also special items like these orange items as well. So make sure that you can buy those if you can too. Another tip is to make sure to use the marketplace and the bazaar accordingly. So first of all, you should really follow my tips that I have about making money and items in the game. You can end up being like me here. So as you can see here, for the items I have to sell, like look at the amount of items I have in this game. It is just ridiculous. Like I have so much stuff, way more than I need. So and most of these I did not buy. Like most of these I found. Obviously all the orange stuff, the legendary and the purple stuff I likely bought, but everything else I probably did not. So if you follow my tip on how to get money and items, you can have something like this. Now for your for whenever you recruit, always important to I barely bought any conscript at all, and the reason is because if you do buy mercenaries, especially high level ones, first of all you're buying units that are higher level as well, and then you're buying units that already have resources invested in them, right? So what I mean by that is that a warbow requires iron and obsidian to have. So whenever you can buy one of those, especially in the earlier part of the game, then it's like if you were able to buy an obsidian. Now, if you look at obsidian, for example, I don't have an obsidian here. So, but if you look at a sunstone, that's $2,000, right? So if I look over here, to be able to get a paladin, it cost me $6,000, and a sunstone is $2,000. So therefore, the paladin really just cost me $4,000. So it's really important to understand the value that you can get from these things. As you can see here, the difference between the two is not that great. This one has the proper affinity, so therefore affinity of earth is better for paladin. It has the unscathed trait, which is a good trait for paladin. It means that it cannot be critical hit. So therefore, it has that $2,000 sunstone. It has a good trait as well. So it is actually worth quite a bit of money. So this is actually not a bad unit to buy. I did not buy it because I did not really have a need for it. The only bad thing that comes with that is that it does have the mercenary, which means that it will cost 2 more capacity in order to have it in your squad. But if you follow my tip about how to use the arena, you can easily turn that into your favor by having your mercenary become loyal to your cause by spending a little bit of time leveling up your unit in the arena, and then make them change from mercenary to loyal as well, which will cost you a lot less capacity in your squads. So also buying proper items is very important. Now, like I said before, buying tokens for arena, always important. The amount of money you can get back from completing the token will be more than whatever it costs you to buy them, so that's very great. In the early game, buying important items like gems, iron, sunstone, things like that is very good. Also buying affinity. Affinity of fire is kind of like meh, because it increases strength and loyalty, and we don't really care about loyalty all that much, to be honest, because we can use that trick for the arena. So therefore, lightning is very, very good. Earth is very good. Dark is very good as well for high damage units like mages and gladiators and things like that, right? So that's very the champions. Sorry. So the champions are very good. Buy some traits. Now there's some traits that are very good. Now this is a leader trait, not very that great. I only have 1 archery unit, so I don't really care so much about that. Garrison, I don't really care so much about either, but there are some traits. Scavenger, extremely, extremely important. Like I buy scavenger every time I see one. Super important. So scavenger is great. Treasure hunter is great for reasons I've already explained. So make sure to buy proper items, but also if you use my money and item tricks, you'll be able to easily get the hang of it as well. And then as you can see, most of the time, Like I have $21,000 now, and there's been times I believe I had over $100,000 at one point. So super important to buy proper items, proper units that you can incorporate into your build as well. All right, so don't miss up on that. Especially buy the orange units. They're specially named and they're really strong. So I highly suggest you to buy those as well. Another great tip for you guys is to use your consumable items not right away, but make sure to maximize your units by using them. So what I mean by that is that if I look at one of my units here, as you can tell, they're all golden out because they're all max levels and max strength. So I wanted to make sure I have the best units possible, right? But if I go to units and I go over here, I don't have a lot of items left because I usually use my items as soon as I can for whatever unit I can. So don't be afraid to change the affinity of a unit in order to maximize it more. So mages, great with water, also great with dark. So that dark would be also another utility that I could have. Don't be afraid to use your traits. Make sure to use efficient traits for the units, for example. So as you can see here, this one I have a max HP based on magic and also starts with a barrier based on magic, right? So these are two very good traits for mages. Paladins, I have bodyguards, right? So if I'm protecting my leader, I get an extra 20%. Also, I do have imposing, which makes it that they're more likely to be attacked, which is a good thing because I want them to be more attacked. They are paladins as well, right? Also, I've changed it into this one into earth because earth gives more HP and paladin will be taking a beating, will be taking a lot of hits. So therefore, I want them to have as much HP as possible, right? Your leaders, always try to make your leaders light. Now, the only leader that comes light is your main character leader. Stefan, Diana, they all come with different traits. I would tell you that if you can, whenever possible, always make them a leader until you come to the point where you have more leadership points than you need. So what I mean by that is that if you can see here, I'm at 104. I'm using 104 and I have 137 available. So even if I was to come here and change my trait, let's say from even back down to dark, so I can increase my magic and strength attacks, which is great. I could actually do this change, and I'm still over the amount I require for this game, right? So, so therefore, I'm not really worried about that. So I don't really care right now if my leader is dark because I don't need more leadership points that he has. So eventually, whenever you come to that point, for example, if I can use, I have Stefan over here. How many points do I have? I'm a little bit over, so I'm still not like super greatly over. So therefore, in his case, I would rather keep it as light because if I change it to lightning, I'll be losing 10 points, which is a whole unit, right? So what would I rather have? 12 points in strength or one extra unit on the board, right? So that's kind of like the trade-off that I have to take here. And having the extra unit on the board, personally, I think is just a better trade-off, right? So that's exceptionally good to have. Always make sure to buy proper skills for your unit. For example, here for my assassin, I have scavenger and disarm. Very good skills to have. Make sure to use your skills as much as possible. Don't be afraid to use your codex, right? Because whenever you buy a new unit, it might be under leveled, so you can use the XP codex to level them up if you want to, or you can buy the CP codex in order to level them up faster, right? I do know that usually what I do is that whenever my Dragon Bond talent tree is opened up for dragon riding, I usually fill all my dragon up until they can dragon ride, right? So don't be afraid to use your skills, your points, your bonuses like HP, agility. Usually for the strengths and agility ones, I usually keep those because sometimes what happens is that a unit might just need like one strength to go up to the next class and I don't have it, so therefore I can use that in order to boost them up to the next level. So don't be afraid to use them. You know, if you play well, you're not going to lose your units all that much. Even if you do, most maps has a church for you to go to and raise them, or you can use your main character to raise them up as well. But just be careful with that, right? You don't want to lose too many. I think in my playthrough for this one, I've lost maybe 2-3 units altogether once. So I mean, I did not lose that many, right? So always be careful with that, and don't be afraid to use your consumable because, well, they're there for that. So why not use them, right? Another very important aspect of the game that you have to learn is to how to use the arena to develop your units and get money. Now, you can get arena token by doing battles, doing chapters, or looting a chest or killing enemies. You can gain them that way, or also what you can do is that you can purchase them on the marketplace or in the bazaar. Now, the amount of gold that it costs you to purchase a token is less than what it is that you can be rewarded by completing the arena. So therefore, I would always suggest you to buy every token that you can afford whenever you see them, because by completing the arena, you'll be able to get some more money back and also additional items as well. So that's always a very important thing to do. Always purchase your arena token and complete them. Another thing that you can do also is to use the arena to level up your units by letting yourself be attacked by the ranged unit. So I'm going to show you that right here. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to end my turn like this, and I'm just going to speed it up here. And I'm going to wait right here. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to be attacked a few times. As you can see, those guys are going to charge me in just a moment. So usually what I like to do is that I like to go to this location here so that I can be protected. And I'm going to wait here, and I'm going to skip another turn as well. Okay, so I've lost 2 units here. This is actually not great. I should not have done that. I should have put more of a defensive unit at this location, but that's okay. So what I can do next here is that I can just move up and start getting all those units. Like that. So I got a double turn for Stefan. Move this guy here. Actually, what I'll do is that I'll move this guy out. Okay, you do want to kill the siege cannon, because they will just wreck your units. So all you want to keep is the archers. Okay, so this is fine, and then this guy can just come and kill this one too to finish it up. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So what's gonna happen here is that I'm gonna end my turn. I'm gonna be attacked by archers here, like that, which is not that much. As you can see, I was able to level up here. Now it's my turn. So what I can do here is that just before I leave, I'm gonna revive this guy and heal that one. Also, I'll move these guys over here, closer to my base, like that. And end my turn. Okay, I just lost another unit. Okay, this is bad. Alright, so let's say I did not lose any units, alright? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to retreat this units over here, and then I'm going to subsequently retreat all of them until I have one left. And let's say I'll level up Stefano over here. So I'm going to wait. So that'll be my turn. So as you can see here, if I check my status, so this is level 50 right now. Perfectly maxed out. This one is level 49 at 14 experience. Alright, so I'm just gonna look at this guy for now. I'm gonna end my turn here, and now they're both gonna attack me. So if I slow it down here, they're gonna attack my units, and as you can see, they all went up in experience, and nothing else happened, right? So what you can do at this point is that you can set up a macro. If you have a macro keyboard, it's very simple. All you have to do is like space, space, down arrow, space, and then goes to the enemy phase again. You can make it so that your macro holds the key to the left of the 1, which speeds it up, so you can speed it up as well, like that. And then you can have a macro that just runs like that. The important thing here is that make sure that your units are not dying. By being inside the fortress, they're being healed up every turn a little bit, but if they're taking too much damage, then they might be dying over time. So you want to make sure to maybe have 1 or 2 healers per squad that you're trying to level up, so that your squad always stays healthy and are not dying. So here, space, space, down arrow, space, hold the button and then speed it up again. As you can see, probably gonna level up very soon. So here all my units leveled up, and then you can level up units like that. Now what's happening with the leveled up also is that you can increase the loyalty of all your units doing that. So if you have a unit that is full of mercenaries, you can put all the mercenaries together with a few healers, and then you can do this until they all become loyal, and then you have a whole bunch of mercenaries that are loyal to your cause, which is great. So then you can have more units because you're taking less space, squad space in your squad. So that's actually a good, so this is the trick that you use in order to maximize your XP gain as well. Now just to show you, I'm gonna go to the golden to the gold map here. So what I can do is that I can move this guy, come and kill him. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I don't really care about completing this here. So what I can do, I can just retreat, and then I can just go to the golden game. So I can go back here, go to the golden arena. Now the golden arena is better because it has typically more archers. For the example, you have 3 archers in this map here that can be attacked. So you're increasing the amount of being attacked per turn, so you don't have to go so much so often. So typically what I would do is that I would have my 5 units over here. I would move to the center place over here. Then these guys would rush me in the center, and I just make sure not to be too close to these guys because I don't want to kill them. I just want to be attacked through their archery attacks. And then by the time I kill all of those 5 units, I retreat back to my base, and then I usually retreat all the other 4 and keep 1 unit, and then I can just let that go. Make sure you have healers so that you don't die, and then you can max out all your units. There's a point where you cannot go any higher than a certain point, and I believe it's like 4 level higher. I do believe that level 50 is the highest level in the game, but whenever you're playing, they're going to be like level 12, 14, 16, and so forth. And I think the highest level you can get is like 4 level higher than the level that the enemy are attacking you. So eventually it comes to a point where it stops because you're not getting any more experience. And at that point, what you do is that you retreat the unit, and then you just take another one on the castle spot, and then you just do it with a different unit. Just make sure that they don't die. If you have units that do die slowly, what you can do is that you can retreat them, and then while they've been retreated, they're going to heal up in the base, so then you can bring them back out at a later time. But this means that you're going to have to do it more manually. It's a little bit tedious, I do agree, but it is what it is. That's the only way that I found in order to be able to level up in the game. Now, you could also do this trick within chapters where they have a lot of archers if you want to. But usually I like to get the extra bonus for the talent trees by completing the map within the number of turns that they say. So it's not something I would suggest to do, but you could do it. All right, so that's an option for you. Another important aspect is squad composition. Now, I'm a big fan of rogues. Rogues are amazing, and the reason why I believe they're amazing is because they always attack the back row first on their first turn. And often what it can do is that they may be able to target some of the weaker healers in the back row, and while the other units are attacking in the front row. So if you look at my Devoa map, for example, I am using the pikemen in the middle. So I am using pole arm units in the middle on my first row and then the back row, because they offer a bonus to attack and defense against melee units as well. So to my adjacent units next to them, right, as I talked into the talent tree. So having those in the middle actually boosts the attack power of my units around them. And then I have my healer and a mage down in the center as well. And then over here I have 2 rogues in the back. And then whenever I attack, those 2 rogues will, 2 assassins will go to the back row and maybe be able to one-shot some of the weaker units in the back. So always very good, because often what I found is that if you have only all melee unit attacking the front row, you won't be able to reach the back row until the second turn if you're lucky, right? So being able to target the back row right away off the bat, you might be able to get lucky by cutting 1 or 2 units even. And then I also have a pole arm units in the back to even further boost my damage attack against melee units as well. So this is actually a pretty good thing to do here as well. As you can see, I have a full archer units here. I usually go full archers. Now I do have 5 horses because by having 5 horses in a 9 unit squad, it allows me to be considered as light cavalry for archers, and therefore I can have greater movement and I can go in and back out whenever I want to attack. Or what I can do is that I can, for example, I can move out of cover, go attack, and then go back under cover to protect my archers as well, which is great. And then also here, for example, I have Sybil over here. She has a unit of casters with a whole bunch of pole arms defenders at the front. So this is kind of like a one-shot first turn squad. And then Stefan is a great unit, one of my favorite unit. I believe it is my favorite unit altogether. And here I have. It's not good to go too many assassins because what's gonna happen is that you're gonna over target the back row, and then you're not gonna target enough the front row. So by having rangers, I have 5 rangers as well, and then 4 assassins. I can kill a lot of the back row and kill a lot of the front row at the same time. And if I do recall, the rangers do have first strike as well with their crossbow that they have. So therefore, I can kill a whole bunch of units, and then my assassin just goes in and just clean up the rest. So this is usually my first, my highly skilled units. Now, also one thing about this unit here that I really love is this ability here, which allows me a 33% chance of second turn. So what I can do here is that I can often go for second turn. I also have the Saint Teresa Tiara, which increases my strength for every point of magic, but puts magic to 0. But since I have no healers in this class, I don't really care. And I do have the dark resist over here because I was planning for my last battle, and last battle has a lot of dark magic attacks, so that's one thing to consider. But usually I would have another power attack for this unit as well. And as you can see here, very important. So I do believe that rogues are useful in every map. As you can see, there's another assassin in the back over here, so I have 2 over here. So these guys attack the front row, and then the assassin attacks the back row as well, which is very great. Love that. These guys over here, this is just a kill machine. I just have double volley of guns, and then they just shoot everybody, so this is pretty good. And then I have the Valkyrie for protection and healing as well. Beatrix is amazing. She has her attack. She attacks once per turn, which is just great, and then she just one-shots everybody. So that's a great thing to do. As for artifact, what I suggest her is that if you just give her 1 dragon for protection, sometimes you can use 2 if you want, but 1 is just enough because she kills everybody on the first turn. So you don't even need a second turn most of the time. You just have to make sure to protect her so that she doesn't get attacked. Because since you only have 2 units, her attack power will be lesser than most of the units around her, so therefore she's more likely to be focus fired. So you need to make sure to protect her. But otherwise, I just go with massive plus 16 damage for magic. And I use the Giant Treasure, which gives me plus 25% damage dealt to larger squads. And since she always attacks squads that has like 5 to 9 units, well, she's always doing plus 25% damage. And therefore, I more than one-shot those. And then here I have this. This is kind of like overkill because she rarely double hits in one fight. But this gives her another turn. If she doesn't one-shot all the units, she gets another attack at the end of the fight. So this I could change for maybe something that is more magic-related if I wanted to. But usually she can kill everybody. Here I have another flying units that I have. Here I have another. Here I have Kudora's units. Where's Kudora? I don't see him. Oh yeah, so Kudora is the assassin you get at the end. So here I have a few rogues and assassin. I have a bunch of rangers, and this is again a very high skill unit. Here I have another general, a light cavalry that I have, so I can go in and out of fights if I want to. Here I have Barnabas fight, so this is a cavalry. This is a high defensive, lots of healing in this fight, so I usually heal other units with this unit as well whenever needed. A lot of defense as well. As you can see, I have pole armed cavalry units in the middle to provide assistance to the side units as well. Another flying unit over here. I usually give like 3 healers for my flying unit. This is Abigail's units. Another 3 healers over here to make sure they don't die, because dragons are very valuable, so I want to be able to attack and not die back. That's great. Pardis was another one of my high kill units. I have some gunfire here as well, pretty good. Namira's units as well. I really like Namira because she can jump to any unit that she wants in the fight, so that's actually pretty good. She's a flying unit as well with some healing. This is a one-shot, one-kill unit with Jaromir's unit. I have all my siege over here, so whoever I target, I just blow them up. No one survives this attack ever, so it is actually a very good attack as well. Here I have, so these are the next following units, are units I don't really use for fighting so much. They're usually more used as a last attack, or to surrender units, or to capture points or chests and things like that. So this one here is okay. Sir Roland's here, this is the same thing as well. Still has 9 units. I mean, I have 86 capacity, so capacity is pretty low, and I still have a lot of units, right? So this is actually not a bad unit. A lot of Valkyrie. I love Valkyrie. They can attack any heal. This is great. Here I have Raskuja's unit. It is okay. I do give that guy a little bit more fighting with the Fang of Duros over here. That increases my attack power. Some few paladins here for protection, which is not bad. So again, I usually use them as a night attack for ambush, or I use them for just surrendering units whenever I need to. This is another unit that I have. Just another unit I use for surrendering and things like that, and that's pretty much it, right? So this is the number of units that you use. Essentially, how many units do you need for the game? I don't think you need, so this is 20, and I think that 20 is all that you need for the late game. I do have some spare units over here. I do have a dragon that I could still level up if I wanted to. But other than that, that's pretty much all that you guys need. Always make sure to give, proper organization of your squads. Make sure that you know which squads are your killer squads, right? So which squads that you can kill as fast as possible, which ones are one-shot kills for every time you attack, and things like that. Very important to know. Another great tip I would suggest you guys is to maximize the number of dragons that you can get. What I mean by that is that every time you go to a bazaar, make sure to always at least buy the dragon if you can. I would almost tell you that if you don't have enough money to purchase a dragon, just try to do more arena, or try to get some more money somehow before you have to buy the dragon as well, and follow my tips about how to make a lot of money in the game. Dragons are super useful. You can fly around obstacles, you can flank better, you can go around units and things like that. You can even ignore unit blockage, which means that you can fly over them to go on their other side, so you can go through units, enemy units as well. So they're exceptional units all around, great to have. As you can tell, I have 1, 2, so the number of dragons I was able to get from the game was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I was able to get 10 dragons all around, and also I was able to get, there's one in chapter 21 that you can get for free, and then I was able to buy this mercenary dragon as well. So there was an extra one that I got for free. So I got about 5 units that can fly around as well. So dragons, super thumbs up, very, very valuable units. One more of my tips I would suggest for this game would be to not rush any of the tier 3 and tier 4 talents. And the reasons for that is because if you look at Dragon Bond over here, unlocking the dragon class, if you were to rush this trait, you would maybe have 1 or 2 dragon that might be rideable. So therefore, what I'm saying here is that investing all your points into this 3 only in order to get this bonus really limits you in other things that you could get instead. So it's not really a good trait to get. Also, for professionalism, if you play properly, you don't really need this trait at all, because you will not really buy this many new conscripts. You will usually buy mercenaries more often than not, because what happens with mercenaries is that they allow you to get free resources without having to buy them yourself, right? So what you can do is that you can upgrade the units you already have, and by buying mercenaries, yes, they're not very loyal at the beginning, but there's a trick that we're going to talk about a bit later. But you don't really need this one as well. Now, obviously, the one in the middle here for the Grand Army, this is great. Obviously, this is great, but you would not be able to complete these 2 trees until most of past the mid game, and by that point, you don't even need that all that much. So we'll talk about loyalty and leadership a little bit later in the video, but this is not really necessary for you to get earlier on. And also, if you look at if you were to rush industrial furnace and gunsmithing for the firearms, now by the time you can unlock gunsmithing, I think you have maybe like 3 or 4 parasite already, and just unlocking guns will cost you 3 parasites. So maybe by unlocking it, you might be able to get 1 or 2 firearms, which is not even that great when you think about it. So it's not really worth getting until much further on. Personally, in my last playthrough, I did not get gunsmithing until much later on. I believe after I got dragon riding and Grand Army as well. So I believe that firearms are overrated in the game. That actually they're not that great when you use them. The enemy have a lot of guns, so it seems like it is great for them to use them. But personally, for you, parasite is very limited, so you don't have that much of it. So it's very careful about whatever you use here. Also, for the industrial furnace, by the time you can unlock this, you only have a few obsidian, so it is actually not that great for you to be able to use it. So you would be saving a bit of obsidian, but the number of units you can actually use it on is not that much. And as you can see at the top there, I have 29 obsidian and all my units are all upgraded to the max. So if you buy a lot of obsidian throughout your gameplay, you're going to have way more than you need. So this trait is not actually that great. Now, what I would take personally if I were to play, I'll go row by row and tell you which one I believe are good and which one I believe are not great. Okay, so for example here, apprentice training, this is trash. Don't buy this ever. Mages are okay when you unlock the whenever you can charge on the first turn. They're a little bit okay, but usually I don't really go for mages all that much until much like mid game and late game. I personally love cavalry a little bit more because cavalry you can go in, attack, and move out, which allows other units to be able to move in and attack themselves, right? So they're one thing good for that. Personally, I didn't use the female casters and the male casters all that much. A little bit in the end game, but not so much in the early game. So this is actually not that great. This trait over here, I think, is pretty bad as well. You don't really care so much about your leadership increasing for non-leader units. Obviously, if you find leader units that actually is very good, one unit that you like, for example, if you find a named mercenary that you want to make a leader, what you can do is that you can just use the medallion to be able to increase their leadership levels if you want to, and that's pretty much what I would do personally with that. So this here is not great. These over here, we're going to talk about them a bit later, but this as by itself is not that great. This one over here, this is actually good because it allows you to have more mercenaries to choose from, so therefore you have a better chance of getting good mercenaries to buy, and also it increases the item trader pool, and then also gives you more opportunity to buy exotic things. Now, I wouldn't buy this like earlier on, maybe after like chapter 4 or 5, when you actually start getting money and things like that, then I would buy it. But in the early game, in the early chapters, I would not buy that. I would buy it maybe like chapters like 5, 6, 7, something like this. For the next one over here, enemy squads incur movement penalty when moving between tiles adjacent to your infantry tiles. Now, this is very important. Now, the reason it is important is because you want your infantry tiles to be able to take the damage and block enemy movement as much as possible. Okay, so this is a very crucial one, and also it allows you to protect units behind you, because if they have to go around your infantry units a lot, then they won't be able to go kill your backline, your archers, and things like that. So I believe that zone control is one of the best ones across the first level, the first row. Battle medic plus 20 HP. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. Again, not something that I would buy in the first few purchases. Army stables here allows you to do a charge on 6 tiles instead of 7. Now, this is just convenience. If you know how to play well, you can calculate your tile distance quite easily, even if it's 7. So if you plan ahead a little bit where your cavalries are and where you expect the enemy to be, and then if you make sure that you have open ground in between, 7 is fine. This is more of a convenience. Against, I love horses. Horses are great. But again, this is just convenient. So he's again not really a top pick. Now this one here is pretty great. Now for each unit, gain +3 weapon power for each unit of a different type added to the squad. Okay, which starts with the second unit. So this is great, right? Because you want to spread up your squads in multiple different kinds of units so that you can stack up that weapon power as much as possible. So I believe that this one is actually one of my favorite tier 1 skills to purchase. So this one is usually one of my first one I buy. Now this ability here to target leader, I personally never target leader. Reason why? Because my units are so strong that most of the time the leader dies. And even if it doesn't, I don't really care, man. It's gonna die the next turn, or I'm gonna surrender it anyways. So I can't even say that I ever use target leader. Now I do use aggressive and cautious very, very often. If I want to rush or if I want to play defensively and things like that, I do use the other two. So I will need to buy this eventually, but it's not something I purchase like right away. Maybe a little bit later on. Maybe like the chapters like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe something like that. So here, so defeating an enemy squad leaders causes even more morale damage. So again, these two over here play together very well. I don't like the target leader because it leaves you open, like it reduces your evasion percentage. So I usually don't like that because I don't want to leave myself like vulnerable to attacks. So I usually don't like it so much. But it's an okay talent that you'll have to buy eventually, but it's not something that I would rush at all. Here I would say new conscript starts at +1 level with half a mastery. Now, in the early game, whenever you start a game, this is actually pretty good. So this is actually one of maybe the first one I would buy here because you're going to be buying conscript a little bit in the early game, so therefore it gives you that +1 level and already half of the class mastery, so then you can level them up a little bit faster. So this is actually not bad. This one here unlocks a second slot for the artifacts. Now you need this, but not like right away. Like you can wait a few chapters before you buy this. Like don't buy this until you actually have artifacts that you could use that you don't have enough slots with, right? So what I mean is that if you only have 3 artifacts and you have 4 units, well then you don't really need this, right? But if you have 10 artifacts and 5 units, and every one of them have already won, and you want to add more, then you can buy it, right? So don't rush this. You can buy it at the time that you actually need. Crossbow, I have to be honest, I never buy crossbow. Like I don't even have a single crossbowman in my entire squad right now. I've never used them. I don't really know why. It just never got to me to use them. I usually just use archers, so I don't really use crossbow at all. So this is usually the last one I purchased, to be honest. So I don't really need them. Here also the heavy infantry and heavy cavalry +25 HP. Now, just so you guys know, units that says infantry is considered heavy infantry. There are no heavy infantry units in the game. It's all like normal cavalry. So okay, so you have the infantry, or you have light infantry, then you have cavalry, and then light cavalry as well. So heavy cavalry, it just means as a normal cavalry unit, not the light ones. So this is actually a pretty good one, especially if you're playing on warlord difficulty with permadeath. It allows you to have some extra HP on your units, so this will allow you to survive a little bit longer. So this is actually a pretty good talent. And then here, also same reason here for the +5 armor. This is probably one of the first few I would buy. So I would say this one would be my first one, and then these two might be my second and third. And then for the last one over here, light infantry armor has another +5 as well. So just so you guys know, you don't really get light infantry until chapter like 5, 6, 7. So, and same thing for light cavalry as well. So this is good, but you don't need it until much later on. So this is actually not much of a rush to get as well. Now for the tier number 2 here, we have dragon here. You can get 25% class mastery a bit faster, and slightly increased chance to appear as mercenaries. Now, whenever you go to a bazaar in one of the maps, whenever you're playing the game, you'll get a dragon for sure. Now, I've actually never seen a dragon in the marketplace. I don't think I have. Maybe I have, but I don't think so. So this might increase the chances of seeing them, but I think it's still pretty rare. But all in all, this is still a decent trait to get. Not the first trait I would get in the second tier for sure, and especially when you have Abigail, and Abigail can increase your dragon. So what I would usually do is that every time I would get a new dragon, I would move one of the higher level dragon out of Abigail's squad and put in the new one there so that it would level up faster. And then I would use that other dragon in a different squad as well, so that it keeps increasing and be able to upgrade it later on as well. So that's usually what I do with Abigail, is that I swap out the best dragon out of that squad and put in the new one, and then I use her as my baby dragon level up squad, right? So that's usually what I do. This one here is actually pretty good. So this is actually a pretty good one. Increased class mastery 50%, 15% faster. Now, one thing though is that eventually you get to the point where you have more units ready to level up, but you don't have enough resources like at the top over here. Like you don't have enough sunstone or obsidian or parasite and things like that. So it is great, but then again, sometimes eventually you get stuck because, okay, oh, I could upgrade all these units, all my rogues up to assassins, but I just don't have enough obsidian, so I have to wait anyways. So again, not that great. I don't really think you need it, especially since there's a trick to level up your units, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later by using the arena. All right, so this is okay, but again, not necessary. Warhorse Husbandry. So here you have plus 50 HP to all cavalry unit. I think this is a great one, especially for your cavalier, your knights, and then all your all the one with the lances as well. So this is actually a pretty good trait. And also I love to use horses. Again, horses are one of the best units in the game, I believe. Here you have Paladin Acolytes get a bonus to armor for magical resistance. I think that's kind of trash. You'll get hit by magic sometimes, but it's like I would not get this over something else. I would get this like towards whenever I'm filling the whole tree in order to get the 4th tier bonuses. So I will not get it until much later on. Medic over here takes 25% less damage with a Paladin, Valkyrie, Exemplar, or Titan in the same squad. Now, this is actually pretty good. Just to make sure to protect your medics and things like that. You would essentially have a Paladin or Valkyrie or Exemplar in almost every single squad that you have, right? Titan is actually Diana, right? So, and she's the Exemplar as well. So this is actually an okay one. Again, not something I would get right off the bat, but an okay one. Next one here, Cavalry Squad now deals more damage, more morale damage when attacking a charge squad. So this goes along with the +6 over here for the charge styles. Now, it's okay. Morale is fine. I mean, being able to surrender units gives you extra points for your traits. Now, it's good, but you can still get a full tree even without focusing so much on surrendering. And sometimes I like to attack units that could surrender just to get money out of them, which we're going to talk about later too. So, I mean, it's okay for morale. It makes them less defensible, less damage to attack. So it's okay, but again, not that great. Pole Arms now grants bonus attacks and defense versus melee to any adjacent unit. Now, I do like this one quite a bit. And what I tend to do also is that I tend to try to have my pole arm in the middle of the row of my squad. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I would try to get a pole arm in the middle so that it would affect the bonuses, attack and defenses on the two sides for the units, right? So especially since I'm trying to get as many different units into a squad as possible, that's actually a very, very good trait. So I actually like this one quite a bit. Now, pole arms are not super strong units, but with this bonus, I think that it actually makes a difference, and I like this one very much. Aggressive and cautious, I do like this quite a bit. Aggressive gives bonus to attacks, and cautious gives bonus to defenses. So all depending what it is that you want to do, I do suggest getting this as early as possible. This is actually a very good stats to get. If you want, if you just think that you need that extra push to make sure that you kill a unit on one hit, or that you do as much damage as possible. Or sometimes what you can do is that if you have a unit that's a little bit weaker, you can make sure to attack with cautious, even though they might not do as much damage the turn. Then they'll make sure that if they take more damage throughout the enemy phase, that they're not gonna die or something like that. Morale gain bonuses for being 3,000 within base, village, or town. Now this is actually this is okay. I don't mind this. Again, it's not something I would rush right away, but it's something I actually like. So whenever you play the map, try to play around region that you own, right? So that you can increase the bonus morale, and this goes along with the you can get heals per turn when you're winning 3 tiles. So you can use reinforcement around this area in order to protect and heal your units after every time. So it's actually those are actually 2 very good talents, especially if you're playing on the warlord level. Here we have advanced archery from 3 to 4 arrows that they shoot at 2 or more range. Now it's okay. I personally don't use archers all that much, so it's not that great of a trait to me, but it's a decent one. Now this trait, again, this is great, an amazing trait to have, especially if you're gonna get more and more items and be able to purchase additional items as well. So eventually you will have to get this. This is actually a great trait to have. So maybe you don't need to rush this as soon as you have access to tier 2, but it's actually a pretty good one. Next here, personally, again, crossbowmen I never really use. Rangers I use more than crossbowmen. I do have quite a few rangers here and there, so having this bonus for rangers is actually pretty good. Next here we have advanced material science, more HP for heavy cavalry and unit. Again, this is great to protect your infantry unit especially, so this is actually a pretty good one. Next here we have another additional 5 armor to infantry and cavalry, which is also great, so we suggest to get that too. And then here we have an additional 5 for light cavalry. So at this point, you're starting to get some light infantry, some light cavalry and archers. Not so much firearms at this point, but this actually becomes a pretty good trait as well. Okay, so that was all for tier 2. Tier 3, magician and support becomes normal instead of slow. Now, this has actually never affected me, and the reason because is that in a squad, until much later on in the game, you'll never have more than 1 or 2 healers or 1 like mage. So I was actually never slowed down by those units really. So that was never actually a problem for me. So this is almost kind of like a meh trait. Also, but here it says that magician attacks decays in power more slowly when used consecutively. So what it's saying here is that if you're getting attacked multiple times during the enemy phase, for example, your usually your power decays with every attack, and this makes it decay not as fast as it used to. It's okay against. But again, mages for me were not a unit that I use especially a lot, so I never really focused mages all that much. So it was kind of like get this thing as whenever I was trying to fill up the tree at that point, not that great. Next here, spell that charge up on the first turn. Yeah, so when you're on the offensive, so that's important to note here. This is only when you are on the offensive, not on the defensive. Now, I think this is only great whenever you start getting the last tier level of mages, which can do the bigger attacks. Then it's good. But then, other than that, the apprentice, I don't really use them all that much until the late game. So this is okay, but again, not a rush to get this at all. Next here you have magician and dragon breath have an increased chance to be inflicted status effect from the dragon breath. Now I'll be honest, I don't even know the status effect from dragon breath. I know that the magician has like fire, lightning, and frost have different effects as well. I'm not sure what the effect of dragon breath is, but this is okay. Again, not that big of a rush to get that personally. Next one here you have magician and dragon breath ignore 25% of target's resistance. Now this is okay. Again, not something to rush for until you're ready to go for flying dragon. I think that this entire tree, a lot of these can be held off until much later, until you're actually ready to have like, once you have like 5-6 dragons that are ready to be flying, then you should start aiming for that, and then you can start having flying units. But until then, it's kind of like meh, really. Next here we have Dragoon becomes like a cavalry. Again, this is one of the last one I get, mainly because I don't get Dragoon until I go gun smithing, and I usually go gunsmithing much later on. So because the number of parasites you have is very limited, so it's like it's not really it's not necessary to rush this at all. So you're gonna get this much later on. Next here you have plus 15% attack power when engaging in close combat battles for each ally squads that is adjacent to an enemy target squad. Now this is great. This is just amazing because whenever you're battling, what you can also do sometimes is that you can move a unit in place next to an enemy unit, and then you can then use the second unit to go attack that unit, and then you get an extra 15% attack power, right? So this is actually great. This is probably one of the first one I would get. This one here is actually very good as well. It improves it increases the effectiveness of the special tactics for aggressive and cautious and target leader, while also reducing the downside, because there's a downside whenever you use one of the two. So this is actually one of my favorite one. I like that one quite a lot. Also, this one I think is great. It is very situational, but it can help you greatly whenever you're being attacked close to a location that you own. So this is actually pretty good. I would not get this right away, but that would be like in the middle of the pack whenever I get this. Now, archery becomes a light unit type. Now, this is actually pretty good. I do like that because it makes my jewel squad being able to ambush as well. So you can use it as ambush and increase mobility, so it allows it to be able to move better. And also, since that archeries get advantage from being on a hill allows you to be doing an ambush attack, so you can do, well, I mean, doing an ambush attack on the hill, usually you can still only hit once and you cannot be hit back, so that doesn't matter all that much. But usually what I do here is that you can use your archery more aggressively, because if you're in the forest and you go ambush right next to a town of another enemy, then you can volley a first turn, and then you can shoot a second turn, and usually by then I kill all the units, so, or most of them. So this is actually pretty good. I actually like that quite a bit. Next here, this is a -1 to all artifact. This is great. I will not rush this because depending on the leadership level of your squad leaders, you may or may not need this to be able to use more artifacts. So it really depends, very situational. This will not be of my rush, but again, in the middle of the pack I would use. I'm going to go with this one in the middle first. So this one unlocks guns, dragoons, and siege cannons. It does cost 3 parasite, which really is a lot, because if I recall properly, whenever I could unlock this for the first time, I only had 3 parasite in my inventory, so therefore I could unlock it, but then I could not create any more firearms. I was like, well, it's kind of pointless to buy. So this again is kind of like middle of the pack later on. Whenever you have like maybe like 5, 6, 7 parasite in store, then sure, you can buy it, and then you can maybe make a few firearms units. Firearm units are okay. I'm not like, I don't love them all that much. Like, they're good, but we're going to talk about them a little bit more later. Here we have artillery artifact. Artillery attacks increase blast rages. This is great. Allows you to have like a lot of one-shot kill units. I have one squad that has only artillery siege cannons in it, and then I can one-shot any unit that attack. So usually a pretty good thing to have, but that will be later on too. Excuse me. And then also here, gunnery and artillery no longer negatively affected by weather. Now, again, very situational. Sometimes you're indoors, so you're not actually affected by weather. So sometimes you're outdoors, and it might not rain. It might rain. Sometimes in the map, whenever you start the map, it actually tells you like, oh, it might rain in this map. So therefore, you can like properly account for that. So again, not super important to get. You'll need to get it eventually, but like it's not something you would rush at all. Okay. And then talking about the top ones over here, I did talk about most of them already. Advanced firearm tactics for gunners and dragoons gets an additional attack. So you can attack twice per turn, which is actually amazing. That is actually great to get. But then again, obviously, it's not something I would rush because you only have so many gunners and dragoons. So therefore, I think that Grand Army is better before getting this, because this affects all your squads, which is amazing because you can get like practically one extra unit for every squad, which is a great value compared to a single attacks for the handful of gunners and dragoons you're gonna have, right? Although this does help, but as you can see in late game, it doesn't really matter because I have way more obsidian that I can use, so I don't really care. And then plus one range to siege cannon. This is like last thing I would get. Doesn't really matter because if I get within 1 or 2 range with my siege cannon unit, I'm gonna blow up whoever I touch. So it actually does not matter at all. All right. So that was my take on all the talents. Another great tip to learn is to how to use ambush, charge, and terrain properly. Now, if you use terrain, you get a bonus to your defensive whenever you're being attacked from that location. So that's always very good to be able to end your turn within the terrain. But you also must protect yourself from being ambushed by other units. So it's also very important to notice which enemy units are in an ambush in an ambush position. So what I mean by that is that, as you can tell here, I do have one of my infantry unit, which is my main character, is over here, and you can see on the right side, this is an infantry unit. So this infantry unit cannot ambush, okay, unless they're using a special items, which it does not have right now. So, but if you look at Stefan is a light infantry. Light infantry and light cavalry can ambush as well. So what I can do here is that if I take my unit, as you can see, you have the blue squares where I can move, and you have sort of like the purple ones. And the purple ones means that those are the location where I can ambush. Now the condition to be able to ambush are twofold. You need to start from a cover position. A cover position are hills, so I'm actually on top of a hill right now. They are forest, wheat fields are also cover positions, and towns. So if there was a town around here somewhere, it would be a cover position because you start from a hidden place, right? So what you have to do is that you have to start from a hidden place and you have to move to another hidden place. For example, this location right here. If I move right here and I attack from this location, I will be ambushed. I will be ambushing the enemy faction, okay? But if I was to well, in this case here, there's no location I can move that is not an ambush, so I have to move here. But if I was not doing a proper ambush, it would not say ambush here. It would just have the swords, but the ambush word would not be flashing. Okay, so that's very important that you have to learn to ambush, because ambushing allows you to have your first attack without being hit back and counter-attacked. Okay, so what happens here is that I can attack 2 times in a row before being attacked once. And as you can see here, with this attack, I'll likely be able to kill all those units in the first attack anyways, because my units are very strong, okay? But usually, if your units are a little bit weaker, you might not be able to kill all the units in the first strike, but maybe in the second strike, before they have a chance to hit you back, you might be able to kill them, okay? Another thing here is to learn how to charge. Now, Diana here, she's in a cavalry units, because I have 5 horses out of 9 units, so therefore the majority of my units are horses, which therefore makes this unit cavalry, okay? So if I click over here, now what I need is that I need 6 tiles of open ground. Now open ground means no hills or no forest or no towns or no fort or whatever. So as you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I come to this location here, I'll be able to do a charge attack, okay? So if I come over here and attack this unit over here, you can see this is a charge attack that I'm doing now. Charge attacks will, it makes it so that any units that the horses hit will be stunned for that turn, okay? So it's not as good as an ambush, but it's still pretty good to get, all right? So if I go back here and I go back to this position here, which is not a charged location, and if I attack this unit, I don't have the charge keyword, okay? So the bonus is not going to apply to this attack here. But again, if I was to move to this location here, or maybe even I can move and wrap around this location over here, then I'll be able to get a charge attack from this location. Okay, so these are 2 very, very important ones to learn. Now also, you may notice that whenever you're in a chapter that is inside a building, there are locations where they call shadow, and shadow count as a cover location. So if you go from shadow to shadow, you'll be able to do an ambush attack then as well. So you can use those as well to your advantage. One other tips I have for you guys is to learn how to lure the enemy squad to your location. So as you can see here, I'm in the battle arena for the bronze level, and if I click on the units over here and I start the mission, so if I click on the units over here, I can see where they can move, and I can see also where they can attack. Now, if I was to, and then I can see all those units over here, they're going to be able to move forward. Just so you know, whenever a unit has no movement tiles like these, it means that they don't move from this location. They always stay there. So this is a good information for you to have whenever you see a map, and then you're wondering if the unit will move to you. Then you can always click on it, and then if it stays there like this, then it won't move. It'll just stay wherever it is, all right? So these units will move forward, but what's going to happen is that these two archers will stay where they are. So if I were to end my turn like so, then as you can see, I have the 5 units all move forwards, but the archers stayed over there. So what I can do instead is that if I restart this level and begin this mission once again, I can look at where the archers are, and then I can tell this one can attack here, and this one can attack here as well. So if I use one of my highly defensive unit, like Diana, for example, and just move at this location, then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to ensure that these units, and then I can move these guys up like so, over here. And then I ensure that the archers will also move up this turn and attack me. Like that, as you can see. So I get attacked once, and then I get attacked twice. And then Diana is so strong that she just killed everybody. So it's very important to be able to lure units to your location as much as possible with your highly defensive units, so that they can all charge you, so then you can take advantage and attack them in the next follow-up turn. Another tip that you guys must know is that whenever you're playing offensively or defensively, you have to know which one of your units is going to be attacked next. And usually the way this works is based on the amount of power your unit has. The enemy will typically always attack the units in range that has the less amount in power. So for example here, my main character unit has about 28,000 points. Stefan over here has 36,000, and Diana has 52,000. So if I were to start this fight and put those units in range of attacks, so if I were to put them in this region over here, where they can be attacked. So if I have my main character here, if I have Stefan over here, and I have Diana at this location, which units are the archers going to attack? Well, they're going to attack my main character units. Okay, just going to show you. Diana is a monster. She'll just murder everybody. Right, so as you can see here, Devoa which is my main character, was attacked by the archer because it has the least number of attack power. All the other units attack Diana, and the reason why they attack Diana is because she was the only unit in range, and therefore she was the only unit they could attack, right? So it's always very important to protect your weaker units from being attacked by the enemy by limiting their movement, right? So as I've told in the talent tree, it's very important to have the talent to minimize the movement speed, the movement distance around the infantry units, so as that you can limit access to those units that you might have in the back row that might be weaker than others, right? So it's always important to know, okay, so if these guys over here, who are they going to attack? Are they going to attack this guy here? Okay, is there a way for me to protect this guy from being attacked? Well, what I can do then is I can say, well, what I can do is that I can move Stefan down here so that this girl here cannot move up, right? Or then I can move him back 2 places, for example, over here, so that she cannot reach him at this location, for example, right? These guys might still be able to reach him and stuff. And then if I let this play out, like this here, Stefan should be attacked twice by this guy, and then the 2 archers should go back to the back row, all right? So Stefan is right here. killing everybody. He's being attacked twice, so all those units are dead. And then the 2 archers will go around Diana to attack Devoa as well. So it's very important to know who's going to get attacked and who's defending who, and all that, so that you can protect your weaker units from dying. That's very important, especially if you're playing on a permadeath game map, right? Alright, this is it for my top 10 tips for Symphony of War. If there's something that I missed, make sure to leave a comment down below for the community. Also, on your way out, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this content in the future. And I'll be doing more live streams and other game tips videos and gameplay videos as well. So if you want to stick around, I would appreciate that. If you have any comments for me, leave them in the comment down below as well. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.